Hi, it's Chris from Epics again. Welcome to another walkthrough. This one today is all about the contracts and price list changes that a lot of our clients go through at various points in the year. And this is usually triggered by a brand new list of sales codes or a brand new SOR list, or maybe just an increase in prices on a current price list that you've got. And this video is all about how to apply those changes in the most efficient way, and also to ensure that you don't end up making a little bit of a mess of any jobs that might already be in the system. So we'll begin by explaining a couple of scenarios that we come across quite frequently here at Epics when we have requests for support relating to contracts and price lists. So the first one is a brand new SOR list. Well, we would normally import a brand new SOR list at the moment for you. We're currently working on a way for customers to do that themselves. But if you've got a very large list of thousands of codes and you need to get those inserted into the system, send them over to your support email address or log a support call with us and we'll do that for you. Another scenario, if you've got an SOR list or a sales code list with prices already in place for your customer and you want to apply an uplift or maybe a reduction in the prices that you're charging at the moment for a particular contract, then we'd normally manage this with a new price list. Now, I'm going to add a little caveat into this that you would often also create a brand new contract to link the new rates to. So if your new rates are going live as of the 1st of next month, you would create a brand new contract with a start date of that date, and you would then put the new price list on that contract, and then you would end the old one. And that's just to make sure that you don't end up with jobs on the wrong contract being given the wrong rates. In a world where you've got an interface to a client system, it's really important that the rates match up on both sides. So the prices that you create in our system must match up on both this side and at the client side. And usually when you're doing brand new rates for a client system where you're interfacing across, you would always create a new contract to put the new price list on. And you'll need to work with your client to work out what that contract needs to look like to ensure that your interface keeps on working. So let's run through a quick example of how to get a new price list hooked up to a contract. So let's take the first example where the SOR list or the sales codes list has remained the same. However, we're applying a different rate from a certain date. So the way you would normally do this is you would step into the client wizard first of all. And the way I always do this is I start from creating a simple job and I find my client. And then I step into the client wizard at the contract step by pressing the plus button here. And this steps us in, as you can see here, on the contract stage of the client wizard. And you can see already that we've got 5 contracts already set up where the price lists and the SOR lists are shown here. So this is a really good illustration for you to show that a client can have multiple SOR lists on the go at the same time, covering different contracts as well as different prices on each of those contracts. So if I wanted to apply an uplift, let's say to the reactive works contract here, the first thing I'd do is make sure that we've got a price list ready to go. And you can do that from this screen by pressing the plus button next to the price list field, or a lot of you will also have underneath your setup menu a price lists option where you can then start this process from there. But this would be where we're applying a uplift or a reduction on a current list. So if I hit the plus button, the create price list options you have the option to enter a reference and a description, and then also choosing the SOR list that you want to use. So if I want to call this the reactive codes for 2025, I can then specify which SOR list I want to use. And then I can apply a percentage uplift. So this would uplift those codes on this SOR list by 10%. It is also possible to do an uplift based upon a previous price list. However, there is a danger to that rounding errors can occur. So sometimes it's quite a good practice to do the uplift from the base rate of the original list, because usually that's what the client will have done, and you can end up with rounding discrepancies if you're not careful. Once you've got all the fields that you want to fill in completed, if you hit continue, that has now provided us with a preview of the uplifted prices. And as you can see here, you've got the base rate for the original list and our new charge rates shown at the 10% increase that I put in on the previous page. Now we can edit individual rates, so perhaps if you've got some manual codes in there that aren't subject to the same uplift, you can tweak these on this page, but don't worry if you forget, you can always get back to it from the setup menu as well. But once you're happy, you hit continue, and that now creates our new price list. So as we begin to create our new contract using the price list field, we can then specify the prices that we have just created. However, this takes us into a question which comes up a lot from our customers. If I hit the question mark here for price list, we'll see that my prices I've just made aren't showing up. Now, the reason for that is that the client itself is currently linked to a specific SOR list. Now, if the client is linked to a different SOR list than the list you created your price list from, when you come to try and select your new price list here, you'll get an example like that where it doesn't show the one that you've just created. That's okay. All we do to fix that is we can temporarily move our client to use a different list, and that doesn't impact on anything at all to do with any of your invoicing. It just means you get the right options when creating contract. So the way we do that is we step backwards in the wizard to the client step, and using the SOR list field here, we change that to be the list that we used for our price list. We update the client, and then we move forwards to the contract setup. And now when we click on our question mark, you can see here that we've got the reactive codes 2025 that we just created. So all we would do at this point is then, using the fields you can see in front of you, we would add our new contract, making sure to link it to the price list that's most relevant, copy any assets that you need to copy over, and then add your new contract. So just to recap, it's really important if you've got an interface to a client system that any new contracts you create have got the correct references or contract descriptions as set up in your interface to make sure that they talk to each other on both sides. And also any rates that you create for any SOR codes with any uplifts have got to match on both sides, otherwise you'll have problems with any values that come traveling across the interface to your system. If you're in any doubt of how to do that, then please get in touch. You can give us a call on our office number, or you can drop us a line on your support email address and someone will be happy to help you. I hope that was of use to you. If you've got any suggestions for any other walkthroughs that you'd like to see, let us know. And of course, any questions at all, please give us a shout on the usual channels. Thanks, and see you soon.